Now that our system is successfully deployed to our stack, we want to be able to extend with new features and new services. We'll explore how to do this using authentication as our primary feature. There are lots of ways to perform auth and a lot of ways you can do it wrong. We'll be going in depth into building an authentication system ourselves so we can understand some of these shortcomings. But keep in mind, we recommend you don't build things yourself for security unless you're super confident and have a reason to do so. We now have a server that's stood up in the cloud and has a bunch of endpoints to be able to interact with our database. But we want to make sure that only specific people have access to specific resources. We want to be able to ensure that trusted users can do things that non-trusted users can't. We'll be building this as an authentication feature. Most of the development we'll be doing in this lesson will also be done locally, but again, at the end, we'll be deploying this to our cloud system. First, we'll address how can I allow certain users to perform certain actions. Let's look at a simplified diagram with only two actions, one to get a public list and one to get sensitive data. Let's say we have two users, a random person and a trusted paying user, and let's focus on user A for now. This user will want something from action 1, the public list. They'll make a request and the server should fulfill this request. But let's say that this user wants some information that is sensitive from action 2. The server should reject this request. But the first question is, how would it even know whether it should request this request? If the server asks, "Who are you?" and the user says user A, well, do we even believe them? This is a good point to introduce two key concepts, the difference between authentication and authorization. Authentication, which is what we'll be covering in depth, is answering the question, who is asking? Authorization is after we already know who they are, can they ask for that specific resource? Going back to our example, our server is asking who is asking for this data. The user A might respond with user A by submitting a username or an email. Now, if the server is satisfied with that answer, it should still reject the request because this random person should not have access to the sensitive data. If user B comes along, this trusted person, and the server is satisfied that it is user B, it should grant that sensitive data to that user. But now, what if user A just claims they're user B? Well, you've probably seen before, there are passwords to authenticate whether a person is who they say they are. If user A doesn't have user B's password, the server should reject that request.